Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, OG.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
How was your weekend?
Very well, thank you. I had a great time.
I can see you enjoyed yourself.
You know how the weekend was.
But you know what I love? He wore his great suit today.
This is Oji's favorite look
Awesome, awesome. How are you?
Thank you.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Good. Victoria. You know why I call you Victoria, right?
I know.
Okay.
Victoria, Tondo, MKO,
Abiola.
According to Elder Emmanuel Ifeni.
Yes, I'll leave that to him. Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Good morning, Oji. I trust you're having a great time and you had a great weekend. And just out of curiosity, I'd like to know Elder Ifeni's middle name.
Do you know?
Can we carry on?
Okay, he's not telling. Sorry.
His middle name is Malabite.
I love
it. Emmanuel Malabite Ifeni.
All right. Well.
Veteran journalist.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in Nigeria. Well, more condemnation are trailing the Nigerian government's decision to freeze the accounts of promoters of the NSAS protest. One such strong-worded criticism has come from the convener of the Save Nigeria Group, Pastor Tunde Bakare. At a special service on Sunday, the pastor took a swipe at the government for some of its policies and attempts to frustrate the NSAS campaign and the clampdown of social media. Let's take a look.
In light of the foregoing, some of the actions recently taken by the government on the heels of the NSAS protest may need to be reversed sooner rather than later in our collective best interest so that they do not trigger further protests. Among such policy actions is the freezing of the accounts of young Nigerians who reportedly sponsored the protests. While I admit that under our extant laws, banks may freeze an account upon an ex parte order granted to a law enforcement agency by a court of competent jurisdiction for the purpose of investigation. These provisions of our law should not be used to intimidate Nigerian youths simply because they engage in and promoted protests against the inactions of government. In addition, I call on Nigeria's youths to begin to channel their enormous energy into an organized movement for a new Nigeria. Using every resource at their disposal, including especially social media. I believe now is the time to build this dream nation, and that one of the first steps toward this is the wholesale acknowledgement of every level of government that suffocating the spirit, creativity, and liberty of Nigerian youth is both counterintuitive and counterproductive.
Well, Pastor Tunde Bakare couldn't have said it any better. Well, meanwhile, one of the voices of the NSAS protest, activist Aisha Yesufu, has taken to Twitter to react over the order by a magistrate court in the Federal Capital Territory, which instructed the Commissioner of Police to carry out investigation on 50 NSAS protesters, following a criminal suit filed by self-acclaimed human rights activist Kenechukwu Okeke. The complaint accused Aisha Yesufu, Pastor Sam Adeyemi, and others of instigating violence on Twitter, which degenerated to the wanton destruction of property, including his. One of Aisha's comments stated that her husband had been lamenting over the inclusion of Pastor Sam Adeyemi in the lawsuit. Let's take her tweet. She wrote, "My husband is pained that they included his pastor, Sam Adeyemi, and wasn't even bothered that my name was on the list. He has been lamenting how dare they include Sam Adeyemi. See my life." I mean, yes, it is funny, but it is true. I mean, a pastor, what is the investigation going to be about? Terrorism? It is so appalling, this list, really. I'm very upset with the whole NSAS, the freezing of the accounts, like Pastor Tunde Bakare had mentioned earlier as well. But then also the investigation by the police. I mean, what are they going to investigate?
It's ridiculous, quite frankly. There's no other word for it. But we've established, even on this show, that Pastor Tunde Bakare does still have the ear of President Buhari. You know, they have a history. They were both running mates at some point. He was the vice president on that ticket. So I do hope that this is one of those messages, as we've seen before, that gets across to the president, and that all of this attempts to clamp down on dissent, which is an integral part of democracy. The thing is that not everybody is going to agree with you. Not everybody is going to lionize you. That is not the point of a democracy. So surely we shouldn't be so overly sensitive. And if you are, perhaps you're in the wrong job, quite frankly, because this goes with the territory. It's completely unacceptable. And that is just really the bottom line as far as I'm concerned.
Well, many dimensions to this. The first is the role of the church, or if you like, if you stretch it, the role of religious leaders. One of my favorite books that I like to quote is George Usani's The Prophetic Church. And, Father George Usani in that book, after the tradition of Cardinal Sin of the Philippines and other religious leaders who stood up at critical moments in national history, said that the duty of the Church of Christ, or if you extend it, of religious leadership in society, is to speak on the part of the congregation, to defend the interest of the people. It's not about tithes. It's not about people, the poor, coming to church to look for salvation. The poor shall inherit, is it earth or heaven? That the poor inherit or both? But for the church to be seen to be in the vanguard of social revolution. And we have had quite a number of persons, in this dispensation, religious leaders who have spoken truth to power from the pulpit, who have used the pulpit not to bully people or the state, but to provide direction. We saw a lot of that during this struggle against military rule, the actualization of June 12. Bishop Bonigi, Cardinal Nayekan, there was this very famous reverend who was the, link person, and, they used the pulpit to speak truth to power. I remember also Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka and the Catholic, the Conference of Catholic Bishops. And we have seen that tradition sustained. And during this NSAS protest, we saw, Pastor Samadi Yemi standing up. We have also seen consistently, Pastor Tunde Bakare also standing up, either on the platform of the Lateran Assembly or in 2012 on the platform of the Save Nigeria Group, or as we now have on the platform of the Global Citadel Assembly, which is the new name of his church. And it was on this program, and he made a point, quoting Benjamin Disraeli, that the posterity of a country belongs to the youth. They are the future, more or less. And that it would be sinful to keep quiet. So, and when he was giving that sermon, he made the point that what the Nigerian government is doing is not in order. If the young people speak and they say this is what they want, their own posterity, which is what belongs to them, then government cannot say no. And I think that he's been very courageous, he's been very forthright, considering his personal relationship with the government of the day. And I think that all of us seem to have this consensus that people should not be abused because they are speaking the truth. They should not be harassed, intimidated, or victimized because they exercise their rights under the Constitution. And I would like to see other pastors, or religious leaders who are more interested in things that don't concern them, maybe about the scientific origins of COVID-19 or the scientific origins of Mother Earth, to also be seen to be supporting progressive ideas. That is what the pulpit should be used for, not to, engage in hair-brained deliveries from the pulpit and, talk about things that they do not know about. So I commend, Pastor Bakare and other pastors, Pastor Samadi Yemi, for speaking up. As for Kenechukwu Okeke and all these CBN, all these interlopers overreaching themselves, I think we have taken a position on that on this program, that President Buhari has promised to address the demands of the youths. Yes. That's what we would like to see, both at the federal level and at the state level.
Yes, Rufai, your take on the story?
I mean, real quickly, I think I'll just hop on the role of the church even more in this. And while the protest was going on, the church did come out to speak. And it's really very essential because it's so funny we forget in a hurry that medieval times, we used to have Ciceroparal states where the church, took the lead. In fact, it was the bishops first, even before the people, when you look at the stratification of the French society. And you've had men of God that have really stood tall. One that inspires me a lot, that I call one of my, greatest patrons on this is Bishop Oscar Romero, that was actually killed on the pulpit because he was speaking against what the government was doing and the incessant killings in his country then. And even in some African countries like Congo, the Convention of Catholic Bishops in Congo, holds a large sway as regards who is elected president in the end. So the church has to come in on this, be part of politics big time. I mean, we've had reverends that have been governors. Jolly Yame comes to mind. And I don't see why the church can be part of the political process even more. So if Sam Adeyemi is mentioned on that, it just shows that the church is doing its rightful work in society and it cannot keep quiet.
All right, we'll take another story. Over the weekend, reactions trailed the testimony by the Lagos State Commander of Military Intelligence Brigade, Brigadier Ahmed Taiwo, who told the judicial panel set up for victims of SARS and the Lekki tollgate incident that the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, invited the military at the height of the unrest in the state. The brigadier disclosed that after the governor invited the army, he failed to communicate the change in curfew time to the military. He also expressed dissatisfaction that the governor reneged on his earlier call to the military. Well, let's take a quick look at what he said.
The Nigerian army was not happy about two things. The first, his denial that he asked us to intervene, when in actual fact, it was the proper thing to even do. He called the Chief of Army Staff and called the GOC 81 Division and asked for intervention because the police had been overrun. Then two, I spoke with the governor and said the army was unhappy that he said he did not ask the army to intervene. But I'm sure after we've watched everything, we saw he had more than reasonable grounds to ask the army to intervene.
All right, let's take a tweet from Olashupo, who wrote, "At least you guys finally admitted you were the ones at Lekki shooting at unarmed civilians. You said you were deployed to de-escalate the building unrest in the state, but you left hoodlums ravaging the streets and went against peaceful protesters." Well, we still haven't heard from the Lagos State governor. It was on this program that he denied inviting the army, just 2 days after the Lekki incident. Let's take a quick look at that before we discuss.
The plot thickens is what I was about to say. And I agree with that tweet. We're finally getting some clarity, although there's still too much buck passing for my liking. Did the governor order the soldiers to shoot people? Because that's still been denied. We still don't know who was shot, how many fatalities. There's still so much back and forth about that. We still need to get to the bottom of this. But you'll remember yesterday was reported that the interim president of Peru stepped down after a matter of days.
Yes, exactly.
Because peaceful protesters were killed. And in that interview here on Arise that you referred to, I recall asking the governor of Lagos, when the dust settles, how will governors continue in Lagos? While this question lingers, it must be addressed, and we have to get to the bottom of it. Like you said, so far we haven't had any kind of rebuttal from the governor of Lagos, but we're expecting one.
There's too many. There are too many
question marks.
In Professor Bola Akinterienwa's voice, you cannot be more correct. The governor of Lagos State will need to speak up and provide clarification, because Brigadier General Taiwo raised a number of very serious issues. You will recall that when the governor appeared on this, when first he issued a statement, he said, whatever happened at Lekki tollgate was due to forces beyond his control.
You know what, Dr. Abati, before you move further, let's listen to what he said so that we don't quote him out of context.
No, I cannot quote him out of context.
Exactly. Let's listen to
it.
Don't assume that.
I know that. I'm just saying there are other things that he said as well. So let's listen to that.
the events that happened at about 7:30, it was just a total shock to me and to everyone around me. I do not know how, we got into that kind of a situation, and it was just something that it was completely unbelievable. When the first call, it was actually one of my cabinet members that was with me. It was a wife that called us and said they were hearing shooting. I said, shooting where? What? He said, no, around Lekki. I said, it's not possible. And we make phone calls around. Nobody said they had sent anybody down. Because the instruction is that police will not be out until 10, 11 p.m. when we believe that almost every of our citizens would have gotten home. So I don't know how, they all got it all wrong or something, but it was just something that I couldn't even explain. Who gave orders, who gave instructions for military to be there? It's still something that we are investigating, and we've escalated this to the highest level in the military formation, right? And it's something that our government has totally condemned.
Okay, Dr. Bati.
Yes, but before this interview with the morning show crew, he had issued a statement talking about certain powers beyond his control. Now, second,
he also said it on this program.
Yeah,
yes.
Because we put him to task on that score. Yes. Second, he also denied on this program. And third, when he spoke to CNN's Becky Anderson, when he started stuttering on the question, Becky Anderson said, I asked you a simple question. And then he said, oh, we saw the video. They look like military men. 4, there is also an Alhaji Ganiat who spoke when the military insisted that the governor invited them, who said, well, they invited the military, the governor did not deny, but the military was not supposed to go there at 7 o'clock. And General Taiwo, before that judicial panel of inquiry on Saturday, raised all of these questions. First, he said they didn't get any communication that the time of the curfew had been changed. Second, he said that the governor spoke to the chief of army staff, even got him in touch with the chief of staff at the presidency. So in other words, he gave the impression that the governor was lying. Now, the governor of Lagos State is not in a position to use that office to tell lies to the people of Lagos State. And that is why I say that he still owes us an explanation. Not through Alhaji Ganiat, who spoke, but he himself must come out and clear the air. However, at the panel, the counsel to Lagos State, Ejo SAN, interrogated, cross-examined General Taiwo. And he asked him, okay, yes, you said the governor called for the military. Was he the one that gave the order that the military should deploy their men from 81 Div? But the gentleman said no, he doesn't have such powers. So I don't know how much that has helped the governor of Lagos State, but at least Taiwo was cross-examined by A.J. Owonikuku SAN. Now, there was something that General Taiwo said. He said, look, the military, they use blank bullets. Now, even military experts have said, yes, the 6.72 millimeters bullet that was used and the 9 millimeters bullets that were used there, some of those bullets were live bullets. And so when he said, oh, we use blank bullets that will just scratch your skin, he himself said the chief of army staff deployed trainee soldiers, people who had just been trained 24 hours earlier, who probably do not even understand the protocol about internal security. That's how he was quoted. So he himself will need to provide further clarifications, because if you are going to manage such an important crisis like that, as described by General Taiwo himself, are you going to just carry a ragtag soldiers, trainee soldiers that have only received only one lecture in internal security? How would they know whether they should not go with live bullets or blank bullets? Who checked the bullets that they went with? So these are the issues, and then he accuses the governor of saying 2 people died. Other people are saying more than 2 people died. So there are still many gray areas that I hope that the judicial panel of inquiry will look into. And he also claimed that during the crisis, that soldiers were distributing water and drinks. When did the water and drinks and shawarma become part of the tools of managing internal security? So the whole thing is a joke. And we as civilians must continue to ask questions. So General Taiwo may have made his claims, but there are many gaps in his own story too.
There are too many lies by the Nigerian army, I've concluded, because remember the day after, there were all the fake news that was posted on their social media page, and then 6 days afterwards, they came out with a letter saying that at no point did the military shoot at unarmed protesters. So, I mean, Rufai, what is your take on that?
Quickly, for me, so it's a clear vindication of what I saw. So the same video that it was purported that Arise played that was claimed to be fake was what the military too played as regards the shooting. Because at first, that was one of the videos a lot of people said, oh, why will you be playing this video consistently that is fake, that nothing of such happened? So for me, a great sense of triumphalism. One. Number two, the dispute on, blank bullets is another one for me. It talked about the 6.72 mm. It talked about the range of the bullets, that can go about 700 meters and that can kill up to 600 meters. He said, obviously, the proof that the bullets were blank was because they have a crooked shape. I think we need to get a forensic expert to really look at that. In fact, he even made a joke as regards, if I had a rifle, I would have brought it here to test the bullets on some members of sitting on the panel. That was a joke anyway. But we need a proper forensic expert to look at this. And we need to be able to look at the bullets. But the truth is, a lot of things do not add up in this story. Both on the side of the government, both on the side of the military. A lot of, can I use the word very subtly, gaslighting going on. And people should just come out straight. Because you see, the quicker we come out straight in this country and tell the truth, the faster a lot of people will heal. Some people will not still heal anyway. Because the loss of life is not a small thing. Some people have not still healed from June 12th. 1993, I knew a young man that was a protester that tear gas was put in his eye that went blind since then. It's not healed till now. I just hope people find true healing. And please, we need to, for the sake of this country.
All right, very good. I mean, that's about all I have for you guys on What's Trending today.
Thank you very much, Ojo.